Welcome back to Wedlocked and Loaded.
Wedlocked and Loaded.
You women.
Do not lump us all in one category.
So you girls and lie and stretch the truth and try
girls,
to get us jammed up.
First of all, I'm a whole ass woman, right? Think about
no
that.
No disrespect.
Sounds like it to me. So why can't y'all, what is it with men that they just can't walk away?
Depends how good it is. You don't want to give that away.
Greetings. Another episode of Wedlocked and Loaded. We are back for part 2 of the Red Flags and Roses airing. Again, shout out to Beat the Odds. Shout out to all of the team over there that helped put together this very important discussion for Red Flags and Roses. It was an unbelievable experience. Leah and I are humbled and over the moon that we were contacted and, were allowed to be in community with young people who are being intentional about awareness and actions and action steps and course correction. And to have young men in the room, more young men actually, I believe, than women, right? Which I think is important because typically in these spaces, it's usually women, young women, older women talking to each other, right? And I'm being very, very intentional every single time I have an opportunity to talk to young men and older men, but I want to talk to men specifically because that's just important and that's where my mind is. So again, welcome to the show. This is part 2. Hope you guys enjoy it. I hope you learn something. I hope you laugh. I hope you feel free to, send me some comments and let me have it. If you think I said something out of place, always feel free to let Leah have it because a lot of times she be talking outside of her neck. You know how that go. But yeah, so we're going to get into part 2 of Red Flags and Roses. And again, if you want to watch the video of it, please feel free to go to YouTube. Red Flags and Roses, search Red Flags and Roses on YouTube and you can watch the actual video experience. It was shot really dope, beautifully done, beautifully edited. Really, really impressed with the team over there and have nothing but kind words and just admiration and just unbelievable experience. It's dope to work with people who know what they want. They know exactly what they need. They get right to it, like that. It's beautiful. So again, everyone, enjoy the show and let us know what you think. And we will see y'all next week. You know what it is. Wedlocked and Loaded. Yeah.
Say your children, like not necessarily stand per se, but what kind of impact did they have on the way y'all perceived self-love and the way y'all perceived the love y'all have amongst each other?
Oh, our kids are screwed. No, I'm just kidding. No, I'm kidding. It's funny. Like yesterday, for example, my oldest and our youngest and our oldest, she was helping him. He had to do a project for school, so he had to make some food. He had to cook, and so she was helping him. I don't know. As a mom, I was like, this is so dope. And they hate when I re-record and all that, their interactions. I am an only child by my mom, so like I didn't have that growing up. But anyway, so my son asked. He goes, like, what's it like to be with the same person for so long? And like, when you guys first met, was it love at first sight? And I was like, heck no, it wasn't love at first sight. I think they see us and they somewhat get this like ideal situation, like they feel like it's an ideal situation. I feel like because we tried so hard not to like argue in front of them and you know what I mean, like have big disagreements in front of them, they didn't really see the struggle. They may have felt some tension, but they didn't really see like the actual struggle. He asked, he's like, so when you guys first date, he asked a question about his first date and I was like, oh, when we first started, I didn't really take him serious, and he's like, well, why not? And I was like, he had a lot of fans, right? And so, bye boy, you know what it means. He's like, oh, like, you know, he had different girls liking him. I said, yeah, pretty much. He goes, my man, right?
Oh.
And he was like, I guess I get it honest. And I'm like, you know, it's okay to be liked, right? You know what I mean? But don't think that it's okay to play with people's emotions, you know?
Definitely.
And I think for him, it's just a little bit different too, because he's finally like coming into himself.
That sounds wild, by the way. So
Growing into him. There's no right way to say it. So stop it.
I was gonna, say, but I
There's
don't
no
know.
right way to say it. So stop it.
I
Stop
know,
it.
I
Stop
know.
it.
Wow.
This is a very pure conversation. So let's keep it that way.
No,
Thank
it's
you
not.
so
It
much.
didn't start pure.
It's very pure.
All right.
But anyway, my daughters, on the other hand, will, like my middle daughter, she would say, our middle daughter, sorry, it's such a terrible thing to do. Our middle child would say, I want a man to treat me the way daddy treats you. Right?
She said that?
Yeah, I think she was sleeping on some other stuff, but
Aw.
yeah, so
See, that's the
I
goal.
think, you know, they see us hugging and kissing on each other. You know what I'm saying? Like they see that love, right? So I think for them, they will be okay. And then in terms of like not bringing anybody home, like my oldest, I'm like, she'll be on the phone and she'll be talking, and I'll be like, who you talking to? And she'll be like, oh, you know, she like my friend. And then, you know, it's a guy, right? And so he, you know, he'll be like, hey, man. I'm like, yeah, I'm not your mother. Like,
Yeah.
but then I'm like, well, what's your name? What's your parents' name? Where you from? And she's like, you gotta stop. Like, she's like, this is why I don't even bring nobody home. But I'm like, well, why not? She's like, well, at the end of the day, we're just talking, right? Nobody's good enough to come home.
You taught her that.
Period.
Yeah. So like a parent's
Don't
love.
look at me after
I
you say
will.
that.
A parent's love is especially important in like a child's life. It's like the first thing you see of what love is like, and that shapes like the rest of your life, because that's where you're spending hopefully your 18 years per se.
Mm-hmm.
And speaking about love, what's your specific love language towards each other?
We haven't taken a test in a while, so
In
I
a
wonder if
while.
it changed.
I will say it's changed. For me, I don't know about you. My love language for each other.
Mm-hmm. And while you guys think about that, what about you, Nick? What's your love language like?
Man, it depends. Really depends on
Depends.
the person. I'm not gonna lie.
Give us a little bit more context here now. Yeah, a little bit more context.
It differs. I mean, for me, I would say like physical touch. You feel me? I don't know why. It's just like me personally. I just like feeling loved by my partner. If that makes sense.
And do you think you got that from seeing the way your parents love each other, or?
I don't really. I mean, I think I got it from how my family really loves each other. Like my family, we hug each other. You feel me? We greet each other with hugs, kisses on the cheek, stuff like that. So I kind of developed that from like how I was brought up.
Okay.
Which is interesting, right? Because I can see that and understand that, and that's your upbringing. And Leah, on the other hand, is a person.
So they didn't ask you about me.
Yes, she started.
She's asking you about you
Yeah, I'm
to
gonna get
me.
it to me in one
Oh,
second.
okay.
So I'm with a person who, you know, in a stereotypical societal standpoint, I am like the female in a relationship.
More feminine.
And what I mean is like I'm the one that's like holding her and like cuddling with her, right? And she's the one that's like this, right? When you see it on TV, it's usually the guy that got his hands in his pants and like and burping, and the woman is like holding them and trying to, you know, or going to see a scary movie. Now I don't, you know, jump and hold her arms when we see a scary movie. Like that's where the line gets drawn, right? But I think for years, words of affirmation was mine.
Mm-hmm. Still
And
is.
we went to no, it's not.
Trust. Go ahead.
We went to a marriage retreat a million years ago,
Mm-hmm.
and the guy that was there said, you know, I don't know if he said a lot or most. I feel like he said most men, they are words of affirmation, where we need to hear that constant, the praise and appreciation and that type of stuff.
Yeah.
And women are often either quality time or physical touch, and people can be hybrids. So I was words of affirmation. I feel like I've changed to more physical touch, but yeah.
We'll go ahead and retake this quiz when we get home.
Yeah, we'll retake it and see, because that'd be interesting. I think we might be hybrids though.
We always were. I think for me, like, if I'm answering this question correctly, because I'm not certain, definitely quality time. And I am now, like, before I used to be like big on giving gifts.
Gift giving.
Yeah.
Okay.
But now I just want them all. Like, just give me.
Like, I want to receive now.
Like, give me.
My turn. Okay.
But I want you to give me what I want, not what you think
I want.
Okay.
So do you like drop hints or
all the time?
Okay.
Sometimes. Sometimes.
Doesn't that sound like an awful way to live? Like,
it's not.
As a receiving, you know what I'm saying? Like, that's the result. And so you talk about
here's
parenting,
the thing. No.
Like,
So wait, hold on. Time out.
Ugh.
Time out. Here's the thing, right? Like, I'm not verbal with all my hint dropping. Sometimes I'll come home and be like, here you go. It's like, it's my turn now. No? Okay, I'll wait. Here you go. Here's something really nice. I saw this and I thought you should have it.
Okay.
So do you like $100 bills tied to balloons?
I like money. Yeah.
Do you get that?
No, I don't get
From the
it.
video.
Oh, so I figured, I'm like, I like money.
That was dope.
I like money. That was me that did that. I like money.
So she decorated the set for the short film.
Yeah. I do.
Creative genius in the house.
Like I said, I like money.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah,
That's a trip.
One of the reasons we had to have you guys on the show is because of the release of your new music video, "Cry for Me." We heard that there's a short film connected to this song. Can you tell us a little more about that?
So yes, and again, for anyone, I don't expect, just because I'm kind of dating myself, but they're on the wall, right? So Jay-Z released "Streets Is Watching" 1,000,000 years ago, right? In the great year of 1900s, as Charlemagne always says. But it was a long form music video, right? And like Michael Jackson did it with Thriller too. So it's not like no idea is original, as Nas says. This particular song, I wanted to write about domestic violence and sexual abuse and just control. But I didn't want the song to be so dark where, like, when you heard it, you felt like slicing your wrist and jumping off a bridge.
Yeah.
I wanted people to be able to, like, replay it, and sonically it can sound light, but then you'll hear certain things like, wow, that's disturbing. Red flags, right? But I wrote like a long form music video that ended up being a short film. So it's like 20 minutes and 1 second. And I knew that I wanted the visuals to be a hyperbole of what I was saying. I wanted to be extra exaggerated, extra, putting myself out there being a monster. I wanted people to hate me after it went off, right? And so, I think Leah did an amazing job of, some of the stuff honestly was real, I think, drawing from real places. And so the part in the video with the headphones, that comes, in my opinion, that comes from insecurity. So, we are having a moment, right? And Leah's phone rings, and in the short film you see more context.
Yeah.
When the music video is just quick.
Yeah.
But she gets a phone call, she interrupts our moment. I feel a way about that. Right. And then she comes back, and now I'm not interested in engaging. And so now she's trying to engage with me, and now she gets mad that I'm mad, which is a real thing that has happened with us forever. And it drove me nuts. And we will both do it. If she's mad, I all of a sudden get mad because she's mad. And it's like, how silly. And we do it all the time, right? But it's just like, how silly is that? For you to be mad that I'm mad, right? But then
it's
that
called
just
being petty.
Yeah. And
that's what it is.
And it's definitely like petty Pendergrass. But but when she pulled the headphone off and then slammed it, and then walked off and slammed the door. Now that just took that thing that for me wasn't that big of a deal, but it took it here,
Yeah.
right? And so everything just kind of spiraled from that. So you mentioned like the balloons and the money, you know, that's a version of gift giving after you assaulted. And that happens, you know what I'm saying? Which is all part of control and all
The
that
I'm
stuff.
sorry.
Yeah.
The expensive I'm sorry.
It'll never happen again. And
Yeah.
and I just wanted to be I wanted to write something that was real and not real, authentic and not I 100% didn't want to have any gratuitous violence. I didn't want to have any blatant violence towards women on camera, right? Because I feel like it's more powerful when you think something it just happened.
Yeah.
Back to like the Alfred Hitchcock approach with the way he would write films, right? And I love Saw, but I didn't feel a need to have any scenes of me physically putting my hands on Leah, or you see me pulling her panties off, and like you don't need to see that part, but you can see what led up to it, and then you hear her screaming, and then the scene cuts, and you know, even in the video with the bruise and me covering the bruise up, for me that's just such a sinister thing to do, because you would typically expect a man to kiss the bruise or say I'm sorry, it'll never happen again. But for me to like cover it up is like, yikes, you know?
It's like sending off a message where it's like, I'm not really trying to change, but I don't want you to leave me either. So
Exactly.
I'm going to change how people see how we are so that I keep you close to me.
Right.
Okay,
Exactly.
I see.
Kind of like, oh, that's just a reminder of don't step out of line again, or, you know,
That's
just
scary.
do what I say. Yeah.
And it's, you know, in the conversation, and I'm glad that we were invited, you know, and I think Casa Myrna just had a breakfast yesterday, right? And it was their fundraiser. And so I was fortunate enough to be there, and it was an unbelievable experience, and just to be in community with people who are trying to fight something that is so prevalent. And this crosses, you know, age ranges, social, economic classes, race, gender, sexuality. Like this is, you know, the reality is I've just come to the conclusion, like there are predators, right? And for me, it's a matter of being very intentional and drawing a line in the sand of where you are. And so similarly to, there was a time in the past where you didn't know what people's politics were, right? You wouldn't discuss politics at work or in school. I think we're past that now.
People are less conservative.
And for better or for worse, I don't know if I really need to know that you are in support of Ron DeSantis and you identify as, you know, they, right? I don't know if I need to know that. However, if you are a deadbeat father, we can't be friends.
Right.
If you beat on your woman and like do it constantly and use, you know, I was high or I was mad and she shouldn't have, we can't be friends, right? And I'm vocal about it and unapologetic about it. And so, you know, there's certain things that, and obviously the violence happens, male on male, female on female, you know,
it happens in
It's
every relationship.
cross-gender.
it's cross-gendered, right?
Yeah.
But I think that for me, it's a matter of being intentional and saying, look, these are things that we can do to try to mitigate this happening. It breaks my heart when we spoke at the Freedom House recently, and you know, someone shared, and it's like, damn, like too late. You know what I'm saying? And so I think it's a matter of certain things that we can do. And I'm speaking as young men who, you know, may be physically stronger, right? That can, if you drop off, you know, say you and your friend go to a skating rink, right? And you take an Uber, you let her out and she goes to her door. Wait till she gets in the house and closes the door before you drive off. If someone's waiting for the bus, don't just send them on their way. Wait at the bus stop with them. You know what I'm saying? Those are like little tangible things that we all could do collectively to try to mitigate the predatory behavior. You know what I'm saying? So my goal is to try to talk to young men in particular, because I'm often hearing so much time and energy and resources put into the victims and survivors, which is needed. But I want to try to not have so many. You know what I'm saying? So
Yeah.
yeah.
I mean, and I think that's what everything that you said was great, but you're more so talking about the predators that are on the outside. You know, we can't negate that.
Mm-hmm.
They also live inside the home sometimes, you know?
Mm-hmm.
So that needs to be spoken about as well.
Right. Needless to say, the message is for everyone, because everyone could be put in that situation, and roles can be reversed at any time.
At any time.
And you want to make sure that people are learning from the best. So thank you.
Back to boundaries, which you said earlier.
Yeah.
It's having those lines and boundaries.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Well, thank you for that deep conversation. And now let's switch it up a little bit.
Hey.
So we're going to play a quick game called Red Flags or Roses,
Okay.
where I and my co-host read a statement, and you're going to tell us if that's a red flag or a red rose.
Okay.
Are you ready?
Yep.
No explanation, just red flag or red rose.
Yes. And we can come back later to it if me and my co-hosts want an explanation for it.
Okay.
All
If you
right.
need an explanation, babe, this is like when we play.
Bye.
All right, let's get started. The first one is expecting your partner to pay for everything.
That is a rose.
Red flag.
Okay. Sonny, you're up.
Big red flag.
Someone who compromises 100% of the time.
Red flag.
Red flag. Yeah.
A partner who tells you what to wear.
Red flag. It's okay. You can let them know I do dress you.
Oh, knock it off, Leah.
I make strong suggestions.
Red flag without going into too much detail.
Okay. Not sharing your passcode.
Red flag. It's a red flag.
Damn.
Yeah.
I don't know if that's either.
It's a red flag.
I think that's a
We can come back to that.
That's a floses.
You know what?
That's a red floses.
Yeah.
Red roses.
Yeah.
All right, yeah.
Thanks.
Sharing your location.
See, that's a rose for me, right? Because that's a safety thing.
Yeah. So first of all, we have Androids. And so we
not
don't
anymore.
So we have Androids. And so like that's not really a thing. Now, if we're going out, we're definitely saying like, hey, this is where we are, where we're gonna be, or whatever. But like that location on the phone, I don't keep my location on until I need it for the GPS. Like that's the only time I turn it on.
Enemy of the State.
That's
did
what
a
it
lot of
is.
damage
It
to
did.
her. For
It
those
did.
that saw that movie.
Mm-hmm.
Will Smith and Gene Hackman. It's kind of tough.
Okay.
Long story.
Someone who works too much.
That's a red flag to me. I think there has to be
A balance.
a balance. Like it has to be.
That's tough.
Is it?
I'm gonna say. I mean,
It's not a rose because
it is a rose. It could. I don't know. I defer to you.
No, you know, you're entitled to have your own
Can
opinion.
I call it a flows?
That's not an
Red
option.
flows. That's your maybe.
And you know what? There's maybe because red flag, it's red rose, they're both red. So there's.
Are you all really doing this for him?
That's a yeah.
It's a proper explanation because it's red.
I think it's a flows.
Yeah.
It's a flows. Yeah.
Okay. The next one is being extra friendly with the opposite sex.
Yeah.
Or a sex you're attracted to.
That's the part.
No, wait.
The
That's two
sex-
separate.
no.
Wait a minute. You can't just throw that out.
The
What are we
sex
talking
that
about?
you are, because you might not be attracted to the opposite sex. So the
Right,
sex that you are
yeah.
attracted to. That's the
So that's
proper.
the question.
That's
Right,
the
that's the-
question.
I was ready to answer it a different way now.
Yeah. No. It's definitely a red flag. We've talked about that. The extra friendliness. You know, I call it. Let me tell you what I call it. I call it sprinkling false hope. Sprinkling false hope.
Do you have to be sexually attracted, or can you just find
That's
them attractive?
exactly what she. Regardless,
Is sexually on that card?
Attraction.
See,
So here's the
Attraction
thing.
anyway.
I learned in being married to her, I gotta ask specific. You know what I mean? It's like I'm throwing all these older references out. It's like Menace to Society when Kane was in a room and the cop is like, you don't now, right? So yeah, attracted, like I don't think. I mean, that's fine. Sexually attracted, like you should be mindful. And that's,
what do we talk? Go ahead.
All right, so I'm gonna repeat it again. Be extra friendly with the sex you're attracted to.
okay.
Yeah. So that's a red flag.
Red flag. I like my bed.
Okay, moving on. Sonny, what you got for us?
Splitting living expenses 50-50.
That's definitely a
rose.
red
That's
flag.
a rose.
It's a red
Shout out to
flag.
Gabby. I love the conversation that's being circulated.
Yeah,
I'm loving that.
I'm gonna tell you right now.
I can't wait to talk about this at home too.
Yeah,
I know.
that ain't happening.
I know. It's definitely a rose. I mean, like big rose. Smell
If
like
we bring in the same,
the colorful. You see the colorful roses, like the blue ones that like the rainbow roses. It's one of those roses.
It's not even red.
Yeah.
if we come in home with the same amount of money in the pot, different story.
No.
But when you are worth 24 times more than I am, baby, please.
Doesn't matter. Love is
I'm
love.
gonna pay some bills. I'll contribute,
Love is love.
but I ain't going 50-50
Love.
because
costs.
that ain't love.
Okay, yeah.
See. You- Red
Disagreement.
flags and
Let
roses.
me tell you something. So if we don't work, you make 24 times more than I do. You bring home 24 more times than I do, right? And I'm throwing that out there,
Yeah.
right? Because I don't know that exact figure. And then tomorrow we don't work out, dog. What am I leaving with? Like,
That's true.
I'm gonna be completely broke
That's not true.
while you sitting on a
Be
cushy. I can if I'm giving you 50% of my $4.
That's not.
Gotta
Hey,
make
man,
gotta
this-
make sure a relationship helps you.
We'll save this for red flags and roses after dark. This would be the lead in before we get into the poly stuff.
Anyway,
Definitely.
50-50 conversation is a huge one.
I think if we're coming to the table with the same amount of money, like if we're bringing home, figuratively close to the same amount of money, and absolutely, it makes sense, right?
Yeah.
But if you making a whole lot more, then no.
But see,
I'll
that doesn't
contribute.
go both ways. So
I will contribute. But it does. So speaking of the people, right? Because what she said was when she was in her previous relationships, she was the breadwinner, which meant she took care of everything.
Yeah.
Now she treated him like a
Poorly.
but that's a
Poorly.
whole different story,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
Okay. Nick, what do you have for us?
Someone who puts their career or goals ahead of their relationship.
Red flag. Well,
That's tough.
it is
I mean,
tough.
I think it depends on the type of. So I know you guys said no explanation.
Now you could go.
I think it depends on your relationship, right? Like for me, and I feel like for both of us, right? Like we want to be with each other, we want to spend time with each other, but we also are very mindful of saying, hey, yo, I understand, I support you. Like I'm not gonna pigeonhole you, I'm not gonna keep you stuck because I know that you want to grow. So go ahead and grow, but also make sure you make some time for me, right? That as long as you're not being selfish, it can benefit all of us,
And
right?
back to the quality time part. So if you're doing all the grinding and all that stuff, and then the time that you do have with the person, you're on your phone or you're falling asleep while you're watching a movie.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? Then it compromises the quality of it,
Right.
and then it becomes a problem. But it took us a long time to get to.
Not us, you. Yeah.
I'll take that.
In it together. Okay. The last one is walking away from an argument.
Absolutely. Rose.
Yeah, Rose.
Okay.
Yeah.
So with
Yeah.
that being said, let's jump back to our previous statements where you guys had some disagreements on.
Oh, did we?
Yes.
Oh, okay.
The first one being just like figuring or like just planning what you're wearing, like what the other person is wearing.
I mean, we joke about this all the time. Telling the people what to wear. That could be a red flag, actually.
Red flag?
I mean,
Yeah.
I think, it can be controlling for sure. I mean, I guess it depends on
How it's
what we're talking about.
yeah.
Right? And if it's something, it's the age-old example where it's like, oh, honey, how do I look in this dress? And you look like,
Not good, or
well, I want to be descriptive.
Yeah,
'cause
don't
I'm
do
an
that.
artist. So say,
she gave you an out. She gave you an out.
The muffin
She
can that
gave
be in
you
the
an
fridge,
out.
and you open it, it pops open. You know what I'm talking about? And you look like that. And you be like, oh, babe, how do I look? Am I supposed to lie and be like, oh, babe, you look scrumptious? Or am I supposed to be like, right?
I don't know about that one.
Shout out to Pillsbury.
Mm-hmm.
But I think that's different versus like dictating. You know what I'm saying?
Like, I laid this out for you.
Yeah.
Where
You gotta wear it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Or like Prince, who was great. I think his girlfriend had to like come to bed fully made up. Like that was like a reported thing. They had to come to bed with makeup on. I said that to her one day jokingly, and it didn't fly.
I'll tell you what would be a rose in that situation. If he packed my bags and said, babe, don't worry, like we about to be out, I got you. And I'm like, oh, I gotta pack clothes. No, I got you. Or I'll take care of it when we get wherever we're landing. That's all roses. See, that's my hint. See, I'm trying to drop that in there.
It's ridiculous. It's absolutely ridiculous. Yeah.
Okay.
Wait, so you guys said walking away from arguments. So why is that a rose for you guys?
So I think for me, my mouth can be very, very reckless. And
Project.
it's same one you was from. But anyway. I think that it's important to realize that, you can say things, and clearly when you're having a disagreement or you're not really feeling your person, you're going to say things specifically to hit below the belt, right? You can't take that back, right? They say, they used to say sticks and stones may break my bones, but words can never hurt me. The reality is that words do hurt. They hurt a lot, right? And so it's best, and all this on top of it, it's best to walk away before those things are said. But not only that, you can't come back from that, right? Like, those are your feelings. You said it because you felt it in the moment. They're your feelings. You can't come back from that.
I agree.
And you're not hearing each other. You're shouting over each other. So I can't hear you because I'm too upset with you. You can't hear me because
you're upset with me.
So we just having this pointless conversation. We losing our voice, throats going dry. Like, what's the point?
But
Nothing's
also,
being heard except for the hurtful stuff.
But both of you have to be on the same page about that, because she was better at that than me, and she would say, let's talk about this another time. But then to the other person that really wants to talk and get this out, then that's even more frustrating, because it's like, and so
it's just that communication piece. You feel me? Letting each other know.
Yeah. Take a walk, read a book, write it down if you really got to express it. You know what I'm saying?
Go do a float. Go get a massage.
Record it on Snap and play it back. See how you really feel later.
Friends, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah. Catch a flight.
In the words of Nipsey, the highest human act is to inspire. So, talk to one of your poly friends, get some inspiration, feel better, go home, you know what I mean?
You can't get no higher than flying on a plane, baby.
Well, I would
not
love
wrong.
to say our podcast aims to teach people how to have healthy relationships. Question that comes to mind is, in your opinion, what does a healthy relationship look like to y'all?
Laughter.
Yeah.
And kindness.
Kindness, definitely. I would say you nothing is ever going to be perfect, right? You are two human beings if you're into monogamy. that have to come together, right, and figure it out with each other. So you're going to have some disagreements, and that is also okay, right? As long as you are not physically harming your partner, as long as you figure out how to a way to communicate effectively, right? Not just communicate, because we can all talk, but like it has to be effective communication. That works. That's what makes it healthy. Having an understanding of who you are and who your partner is and who you are together, that's what makes it healthy.
Well said, babe.
I know.
I mean, you know, I've said that so many times on our show.
Bye.
And I think you finally.
You did all right.
Thank you, babe.
Okay. See, he needs words of affirmation. Did you see that?
Oh my God! Listen, guys.
And do you have anything to add on to what Leah said?
No, I mean that's, you know. I think for me, what and my uncle would say this a lot: peace and harmony in the household, and he would always say that, and you know, I'm like, yeah, I hear it, I get it. But I think when you finally get it and it clicks, and I think even people hearing me say that are just kind of like, oh yeah, that sounds good. But peace and harmony in the household. So whatever that means, whether that means, you know, your mom is causing, you know, disruption, or your friend or your aunt or your job, whatever that is, like you need to figure that out. Right. Mm-hmm. And I think we are friends. And so even when, because I do believe in relationships, you sometimes fall out of love. And I feel like that's okay. Mm-hmm. Right. But if you're respectful and you still care about that person and you're both committed to it, you can figure it out to get back to a space. You know, so never stop having fun and laughing, and without saying something so crazy, but like, you know, maybe at 11 o'clock at night, you both get in the car and, you know, go explore Boston and display a little PDA, right? When everyone's in the house and the law's not driving around, so you don't get arrested, because there's laws against that. But you keep that exciting the same way as if you were trying to date somebody.
You always date your man.
You know, she puts on a red wig and it's like, Sharon, Stephanie, Melissa, Tanisha.
And there's your Polly.
Yeah. See? It's all full circle. Red flags and roses.
Oh, yeah, I'd like to say this was
That's an interesting point. You want Susan on a Tuesday?
Yep.
Yeah, this was a good episode. I'd like to thank you, Daniel and Leah, for being on our episode of Red Flags and Roses. Where can people find you online?
You can go ahead. You know.
You want me to say for both? Because I'm good at this. All right. So for Leah,
okay.
For Leah, Contour Creations.
Contoured Creations.
I was getting ready to say.
I understand. Go ahead.
Jeez Louise. You do your own.
No, you got it.
So for me, Daniel Laurent. My website, DanielLaurent.com, DanielLaurent, or on Instagram, Daniel Laurent SME, or Black Dollar. That's my company. Look that up, blackdollarus.com. Find out about that. Also our podcast, Wedlocked and Loaded. Mm-hmm. If you search it, it's on platforms and you'll come to the pages. Search engine optimization is kind of crazy and I'm proud of it. So yeah.
Yeah. And as he said, Contoured Creations. Right now I'm just on IG. And you know,
you're not like
that's
selling
it.
yourself.
I told you I'm not into that, right? You either want it or you don't. That's it.
I got so many comments, but we'll
that's it.
You either want it or you never mind.
And I appreciate it if you do. And I also appreciate it if you don't.
Okay.
Right,
thanks everybody for being. Thanks everyone everyone's here on the podcast. I learned something new. Communication is make it effective. Don't just talk to talk, because then you're not trying to get your point across, and that ruins the whole time that you've spent on the other person. So thank you for that lesson, and thank you everyone for being here. And
Thanks for having
Thanks
us.
for being our first couple, by the way.
Wow.
First but not last. Thanks for that. Yeah. All right. See
Wow.
everybody
You
in
set the
next-
bar, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, absolutely.
And y'all need to do follow-ups. And so when the other couples come, you check in on them in 6 months, see if they're still together or not. And then I'll determine if you air it.
Okay.
Shout out all the polys out there.
And we'll see you in the next episode.
Wedlocked and loaded.
Well, locked and loaded.